Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to show you the new tent that we've got for this camping season. Camping season is definitely in full swing, and we've already had this tent out for one night to try it out. So I just wanted to give you a brief review, the reasons why I chose this tent, and my thoughts on the setup and the first night out in it. This is the Blacktail Hotel 3 made by Big Agnes. It's a 3-person tent, so otherwise suitable for 2 adults. We also have a Labrador Retriever dog, so we thought it would be a good size for us. This tent comes with the gray stuff stack that you see here with a drawstring pole. The main tent body has a gray floor with a navy blue and mesh walls. The tent fly is two-tone gray and green with a large vestibule on one end. And actually there's 2 doors, but one vestibule is quite large. Comes with 4 poles, 2 to support the main body of the tent, a 3rd to support the ceiling and extend the door entrances, and the 4th pole is for the vestibule area. It also comes with 10 tent stakes. And I also decided to purchase the optional footprint that is made to go with this tent. Okay, so as I've said before, we are definitely not gram counters, not when you're talking about a 6+ pound tent for 2 people and a dog, but let's go over the weight of everything. Okay, we'll start with the tent stakes or pegs. Weigh in at 181 grams. All of the poles, 938 grams. The optional tent ground sheet or ground cloth, 320 grams. Tent fly. See if we can balance that on there. 1.18 kilograms. And the main tent body, 882 grams. So we might as well get it set up, and then I can give you a tour. So before we put the fly on, let's go over some of the features of the tent so that you can see them better. The tie-out points and the ground sheet are color-coded, and there is a front and back to this tent. So you see here both of these are gray, and both of these are green. And these are going to correspond to the straps on the fly as well. Now, having had this tent set up once before, I have learned that the gray straps should go at the front, because your vestibule, the largest part of it, only has a door on one side, and it's going to come out this side of the tent. So just keep that in mind when you're setting it up. So we've got clips here to attach the poles as opposed to sleeves. So clips are a lot more convenient than pole sleeves. And we've got 2 doors, one on each side. One is going to have a small vestibule and the other one is quite large. We've got this 3rd pole here, which serves as a crossbar to extend the area over the doors. Stretch that out so it gives you a bit more headroom when you're getting out, which is quite convenient. On the doors here we have 2 zippers, one that goes up and one straight back. We do have your typical toggle to tie the door back, or if you're in a hurry, say it's raining or something, you just want the door out of the way, they have put this, what do they call it here? door keeper on the inside, which is kind of handy. So you can just take the door, stuff it in there, and it holds it back out of the way, just for quick, convenient, easy use. Now I must admit that this is the only part of the tent that I'm not crazy about. I'd prefer to have one solid zipper that went all the way around, rather than two zipper points that come together here. Because keep in mind, when you're inside the tent, you need to make sure that you've got this zipped right up so that you prevent bugs from coming in. Now they have put a little piece of material here to try to block that. Not so much for bugs, but more for rain, I'm sure. Yeah, just keep that in mind, that you want to make sure you get that right zipped up when you're closing it up. Now for the fly. Okay, there you have it, the Big Agnes Blacktail Hotel 3. So let's check it out. Okay, starting with the tent stakes, I just want to point this out, that this is true for just about every tent on the market out there, but this particular tent comes with 10 stakes. So you'll see I've used all 10 stakes here. I don't have any for these tie-off points. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, and I've sacrificed the one stake for the end of the vestibule here in order to use on one of the side walls. So ideally you need 5 more stakes in order to properly stake out this tent. So if you are looking at purchasing one of these, just keep that in mind. But luckily they do include the tie-out rope here, because some of them don't come with that either. As for ventilation, we've got these 2 pop-up vents here in the roof. Pop up with these little tabs. They also Velcro close if you need to, or you can pop them open, and then you'll see mesh inside there to help ventilate the tent and reduce your condensation. You also have the tie-out points at the side, which helps reduce condensation, and also if it's raining, helps bring the tent walls out. And then of course your doors. Now, the doors on this tent, we've got 2 at each end. This is your small door. And then over here, we've got your big main vestibule. So this is the special feature of this tent. And for us, this was one of the main reasons why we chose it, even though it is a bit heavier. This tent clocks in at just over 6 pounds. But having a dog, we felt that having a large vestibule like this was a nice added feature, so that we can bring the dog in there if it's raining, if it's wet. We can even cook in there if we needed to. That was one of the main selling features for this tent for us. So let's open it up and have a look. So there you have it. One of the main selling features of this tent is this very large vestibule. So let's get inside, measure it, and see how big it is. So you'll see that kneeling, my head is just hitting the top of the roof here, and I'm 5'4". So it's fairly good space. If it was a downpour and you needed to cook, that's certainly an option that you could cook in here. So width of the vestibule comes in at about 62 inches. So height comes in at about 38 inches. Length, we're talking about 7 feet. So definitely a good size, certainly good enough to store a lot of gear, a couple backpacks, a couple wet dogs if you had to. Definitely a good size for storage, cooking, and any pets that you might have with you as well. So before we measure up the interior space, Let me show you some of the features of the inside of this tent. So on the inside we've got lots of pockets, which is great. So now mind you, the pockets are only at one end, so that's going to dictate where your head's going to be, which is essentially the front of the tent, because the vestibule dictates where the front of the tent is, because it only opens one way. So at the head of the tent we've got a pocket on each side at the bottom, and then we also have two pockets up here at the top. And one of the features of these two pockets is it's got what's labeled here as a pass-through for your microphone or earbud cord. What I've also used this for, though, is for the cable for a battery charger, so that you can leave your devices up here in this pocket, pass through the cable for the battery charger, and have the battery charger sitting down below. So the interior roof of the tent is all mesh. And then the walls are nylon, and they're navy blue. And one of the reasons also that I chose this tent is because of these higher mesh walls. Higher nylon walls. Some tents have mesh that start right down at the bottom. I wanted the mesh just to continue higher up because we typically camp when there's a good chance of rain. We do get a fair bit of rain in Ontario, and I didn't want the splashback coming through the mesh on the tent. So no matter how good your fly is or how low down it goes, you're always going to end up having a bit of splashback on the walls of your tent. And so I decided to go with the one that had the higher nylon walls in order to protect the interior of the tent from that splashback. So just something to keep in mind when shopping for a tent. And so here you also can see, get a better idea of these door keepers. So just rather than rolling them up, and with the toggle, you can just pull it right through there. It holds your door in place. So another feature I will point out about the inside of this tent is there are lots of loops in order to hang gear, or I believe that there's also an option for additional like mesh storage hanging pockets that you can buy and hang up there. But just a great amount of loops to be able to hang stuff from, which is always great for lighting or what have you. So also a nice feature. So let's measure the inside, see what it comes out at. We've got a height at the peak of about 45 inches. Your length is going to be 87 inches. And your width is 66 inches. So just to go over a few more of the specs on this tent, it is of course a freestanding tent, meaning that it doesn't technically have to be pegged out. However, the vestibule does need to be tied off or something in order for it to be standing. So the vestibule portion is not technically freestanding. Now I suppose if you were in a pinch, you could definitely set the tent up and leave the vestibule just hanging down to cover that side of the tent if you were in a pinch. So of course, 3-season, 3-person tent, 2 doors. It comes with the aluminum stakes, and the 2 vestibules, one being of quite a generous size. They state that the fly waterproofness of this tent is 1500 millimeters, meaning that it can withstand the pressure of 1500 millimeters of water before it starts leaking. Packed size is 18 by 56 centimeters. The current price of this tent on the Canadian market is $450. I was able to get it for cheaper off of a dealer on Amazon. and it has been on sale a few times, so you can definitely find it a little bit cheaper than that. So just to give you an idea of floor space, I'm laying down in here now. Like I said before, I'm 5'4", 5'4" inches, and with my head right at the top wall, I've got quite a bit of generous space at the foot. So overall, first impressions of this tent are quite good. For all of the features that I've chosen this tent for, they do seem to work quite well. The build is fairly good. I have found some minor issues with the stitching. So for the price of the tent, I was a little bit disappointed in that, but nothing I think that's going to cause any problems. But otherwise, yeah, I'm very happy with it so far. It'll be nice to get it out on a couple more camping trips and see how well it performs. And of course, we haven't had it out in the rain yet, so that'll be a test for it as well, to see how it works for my husband and I, and for our Labrador Retriever, Mozzie. So that'll be quite fun to get it out with her. So this is just a brief introduction of the Big Agnes Blacktail Hotel 3, and until next time, keep exploring.